Part 86. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 851. Yes, I heard that Fu Chuan was sent. If he was not determined to win this project, it would be impossible to send Fu Chuan there. Unfortunately, he failed in the end. When the two were puzzled, Director Zhang's cell phone rang. He quickly picked up the phone. The staff at the bidding office called him. The winning bidder here is named Gao. Director Zhang pressed the speaker button, and Director Gao could naturally hear it. The surname is Gao? Not from the Lu family. Who from the Gao family is so capable of stealing a project from Master Fu? What do you call Gao? It seems his name is Gao Yun. Director Gao's hand holding the teacup paused, and tea overflowed. He stood up suddenly. What? Gao Yun. Gao Yun is his son. Director Zhang couldn't sit still anymore. Are you mistaken? Is your name really Gao Yun? That's right, his name is indeed Gao Yun. What? Ryun's Yun. Director Zhang quickly hung up the phone. Director Gao, what's going on? Has Gao Yun told you about this? Director Gao felt his blood pressure rush to his forehead for a moment. He was a little dizzy. He stretched out his hand and pressed his temple. No, I never said that. Please check whether it is the same name. How can that kid be so capable of winning this project? Before Director Zhang called to confirm, Gao Liujun received a call from his playboy son Gao Yun. There was uncontrollable pride in the other person's voice. Let me tell you something. Please calm down. Gao Liujun immediately had an ominous premonition and said coldly, what's going on? Dad, I won a project, a big project, a good project. Gao Liujun's head hurt so much that he had never felt his heart beat so fast. I wonder how he could give birth to such a stupid son despite his wise life. What project? You must have heard about the new energy development project in Daliangshan, Guizhou province. Fu Nanli also sent Fu Chuan to bid for this project, but I won the bid. How about it? Am I good? Although Gao Liujun was mentally prepared, he was still angered by the scoundrel's stern tone. Director Zhang supported him. Don't be angry, don't be angry. Gao Liujun growled, idiot, who asked you to bid? Why didn't you tell me? Gao Yun was still very dissatisfied over there. Don't you always say that I have accomplished nothing and that I was spoiled by my mother? I just want to show you some achievements and let you know that I am not just a person who spends time and alcohol. Idiot, you are really stupid and ignorant. Do you think Fu Nanli can't compete with you if he really wants to? His little girlfriend gave me reliable information. Why can't I fight? Director Zhang and Director Gao's expressions both darkened. Instead, they were tricked by the seemingly harmless little girl. At this point, there is nothing more to say. They underestimated the enemy. The eldest young master was probably laughing at them secretly. Not only did they fail to do anything to the young master, they would also lose a lot of money. You underestimated the enemy, you underestimated the enemy too much. Who would have thought that that silly-looking little girl could turn around and trick his son? By chance, Wen Qiao came to the company to visit Fu Nanli. In the huge office, Fu Nanli poured a glass of whiskey and he took a sip. Wen Qiao was brought in by Fiona. I heard that Gao Yun successfully won the bid. Wen Qiao shrugged and said calmly, as expected, how much can Mr. Gao and his father lose? Don't say that I will pay 100 million yuan. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 852. Wen Qiao smiled, let's see if he still dares to scheme against you. Fu Nanli put down the wine glass in his hand, took her hand and walked out. Let's go to Xiaotangshan for dinner. Good. As soon as I left the office, I ran into Director Gao and Director Zhang. The two people were suddenly embarrassed, their eyes flickered, and they didn't dare to look at Fu Nanli at all. The fact that the little girl was able to scheme against Gao Yun meant that as soon as they came into contact with the little girl, she turned around and told Fu Nanli. The little notebook in Mr. Fu's heart may have already made a note for them. Life in Zhonghuan will definitely not be easy in the future. Director Gao was the first to speak. Mr. Fu. Director Zhang also quickly and respectfully called Mr. Fu and glanced at Wen Qiao. Wen Qiao smiled slightly, still looking silly and sweet. He is indeed a good talent as an actor. Director Zhang was a little confused. This girl didn't look like she had any intentions. Mr. Fu must have been prepared for it. Fu Nanli smiled half-heartedly and said, "The news from Fu Chuan just now said that the project in Daliangshan, your province, failed to compete with Gao Yun. Congratulations, Director Gao." Director Gao silently shed 2 drops of blood in his heart. His teeth were knocked out and his blood was swallowed. He obviously had to lose a lot of money, but he still had to accept Fu Nanli's congratulations and pretend that nothing happened. No. Nothing to congratulate. Gao Yun is just fooling around. He intercepted Mr. Fu's project. I don't know if he has investigated the project thoroughly. I think this project will probably die. The group of people slowly walked towards the elevator. Fu Nanli smiled and said, "Oh? Aborted. So does Director Gao know about that project?" Gao Liujun paused for a moment. Should he say he understood or he didn't understand? Sweat broke out on his forehead. He finally understood why the old man kept asking the young master to join the company. He was a ruthless character, even more ruthless than Yeming Kaiu. I don't know much about it, but my son has accomplished nothing. How could he possibly succeed in such a big project, haha. Fu Nanli looked at Director Zhang again. Does Director Zhang know about this project? Director Zhang quickly said, how can I understand? He felt that Mr. Fu's expression was somewhat meaningful. He must have known that he had found Wen Qiao, and he felt guilty. Fu Nanli smiled, I think this project is okay. It's a pity that I lost to you. After saying that, he entered the president's special elevator. The 2 people outside bowed to him respectfully and watched the elevator door slowly close. It wasn't until the elevator door was completely closed that Director Gao and Director Zhang took a deep breath, looked around, and whispered, what kind of person is this Wen Qiao? Director Zhang, I don't know, it still seems like there's no scheming involved. Director Gao took out his handkerchief and wiped the sweat from his forehead. Maybe I'm pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger. Don't cause trouble recently. Director Zhang thought, how could he dare? 2 days later, Wen Qiao was blocked at the back door of the school by Gao Yun. After Gao Yun came home, he was punched and kicked by his father. The corners of his mouth were still red and swollen. Only then did he come to his senses. He had been tricked by a little girl. Wen Qiao. Wen Qiao wore a sweatshirt, wide-leg jeans, and sneakers, with a lazy expression. Mr. Gao. What's wrong? Gao Yun gritted his teeth. Why are you pretending to be stupid with me? It was because Wen Qiao had a beautiful and innocent face that he believed her words without warning. Wen Qiao. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 853. Mr. Gao still doesn't know himself well enough. He is just stupid. How can he make excuses for himself? I don't know what Mr. Gao means. Gao Yun slapped him. Wen Qiao raised his hand and caught it steadily. The force was so strong that Gao Yun was shocked. How could a girl who looked weak be stronger than him? The Daliangshan project is not a good project at all. You tricked me into this trap. Do you know how much I will lose just because of you? Wen Qiao gradually tightened his hold on his wrist. Gao Yun's eyes were splitting and his expression was very ugly. How much was the loss? Wen Qiao asked. Loss of 100 million, you humming let me go. Wen Qiao refused to let go. I don't know. I thought it was a good project and I kindly revealed it to Mr. Gao. Gao Yun became angry. You fart, don't you know that there is a problem with that project? There is a factory behind Daliangshan with excessive lead emissions, and the energy and environment certificates cannot be approved at all. The local government is hiding this matter. Can you have no idea? You also said that it was hidden locally and you, Mr. Gao, didn't know. How could I be so capable of knowing? What are you pretending to be? It's obvious that you and Fu Nanli have teamed up to set up a trap for me to get into. Just wait for me. Wen Qiao threw Gao Yun away, and the man stumbled against a tree. He looked at her angrily and rushed over to her again. Wen Qiao couldn't help but rolled his eyes. Doesn't he have a long memory? The next second, Wen Qiao pressed Gao Yun's head onto the hood of the car on the side of the road. Are you coming again? Are you done yet? Gao Yun slammed the front cover of the car. Bitch, you've done me a terrible job. All my credit cards have been stopped by my father. Do you know? You're going to pay 100 million for harming me. I've become a laughing stock in the industry. Do you know that? Wen Qiao, strictly speaking, it was your father who harmed you. If you really want to cause trouble, just go home and find your father. Gao Yun raised his voice and said, what are you talking about? Wen Qiao grabbed his hair, bowed his head and said in his ear, I am too ambitious. I want to punish people who shouldn't be punished. In the end, I will repay my evil power on my son. Do you understand? Gao Yun was confused. So the old man wanted young Master Fu to take over the project, but in the end he was tricked by young Master Fu. So this Wen Qiao is just taking advantage of the situation? Oh shit. So the fault still lies with the old man. The old man is still angry at him. What does this mean? Then if you want to punish my old man, why did you involve me in it? Wen Qiao. Of course it's because you are stupider than your old man. He bullied my boyfriend and I bullied his son. It's even. If you come to trouble me again, I won't be polite to you. Gao Yun, so this is polite. His head is about to be pushed into the hood of the car by this girl, okay. It hurts a lot, okay. Did you hear what I said? The girl was still very irritable, and she pressed his head and hit the front hood of the car. Gao Yun was frightened. I heard it, I heard it. Are you still coming to trouble me? It depends on my mood. How could he give in? Wen Qiao kicked him in the leg, and Gao Yun was so painful that he immediately stopped caring about his face. I won't look for him anymore. I won't cause trouble for you anymore. Wen Qiao let go of him. Gao Yun hurriedly got into the sports car and glared at Wen Qiao, who was standing on the side of the road. She was waiting for you. Next time he would find more people. It would be unworthy of a gentleman not to avenge this. A few days later, Fu Nanli entered the voting meeting of the board of directors. Director Gao and Director Zhang were the first to vote. They sincerely and warmly welcomed Mr. Fu to the board of directors and became the site director. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 854. Yamingkai raised an eyebrow. Her son was very resourceful, but he didn't know how he managed to win back these two stubborn men. In short, it seems that the day of her retirement is getting closer. After Lu Wenzhou got off work, Wang Hui opened the car door for his second master and asked, "Do you want to stay in Hiken?" It seems that the Lu family's headquarters is not in Hiken, but in Kyoto. After receiving a cold look from his second master, Wang Hui pursed his lips, closed the car door, and got into the passenger seat in a polite manner. On the way, Lu Wenzo's friend Tang Lin called him, "Do you have time for a blind date?" Lu Wenzo frowned deeply, "Didn't I tell you that I would never go on a blind date again?" "Tang Lin, I worry about you like an old lady, what's your attitude? Love can't be tolerated." Tang Lin, "Yes, you are the uncle, but you are not young. Since you have divorced Dizzy, you still have to get married. With your kind of temperament, I can't imagine free love. I know you here there are many people, and the people I recommend to you are all reliable. My friend has a cousin who is a designer. She has returned from studying in the UK. She has good looks and a good temper. She will definitely live in IKEA." "No. Tang Lin, I'm not telling you, what exactly do you want?" What exactly did he want? But Zhou Tao's bright face appeared in his mind. The hand holding the cigarette suddenly paused. What was he doing? "It's nothing. Don't worry about my marriage in the future." Tang Lin asked tentatively, "Could it be that after divorcing Dizzy, you thought about the good things of others?" Such words seemed to ignite the hidden anger in Mr. Lu's heart. "Dizzy? Why do you shout so affectionately? You have a good relationship with her. You don't know? My relationship with Dizzy is pretty good." Lu Wenzo's eyes were gloomy. "Why do you have a good relationship with her? You and her live in a big house, and you don't even have a nanny, or a bodyguard to take care of the house. I went to find you that day, and you were not at home. The sink drain in your bathroom was clogged, and she was trying to clear the drain. She was so delicate. The girl was obviously not good at it, so I just happened to help her. She was very grateful to me, saying that she was really worried and no one could help her." Lu Wenzo's anger rose to his throat. "Why do you want to help her? What are you asking? Your husband is not at home and there is nothing you can do. Do I have to stand by and watch?" Lu Wenzo said coldly, "Then why didn't she call her husband?" "Tang Lin, do you think I didn't call? If I did, you should answer the phone. I called several times, but you didn't answer, okay?" Lu Wenzo thought about it. At that time, he was still having a meeting in the company. He had always been indifferent to the person his grandfather had forced on him, treating her as if she were nothing. Now that she has been mentioned intensively, after 2 years of marriage, he seems to be really treating her badly. She also realized that her divorce from him was not just a hard-to-get trick, but that she was really frustrated. "I know," he said sarcastically. "So do you still want me to introduce you to someone?" "Need not. Tang Lin, Dizzy. Don't call her Dizzy from now on, just call her Zhou Tao." Tang Lin muttered, "As an ex-husband, are you too lenient?" There was no answer. Tang Lin chuckled, "Isn't it really because you are so sweet after the divorce? You talk a lot. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me." Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 855. Tang Lin was a little gloating. "Let me tell you, Dizzy, Buzz who Dizzy is not gentle. It was you who wanted to separate, so we separated, and now you want to use true love to get me back." Tang Lin sang for a while, but Lu Wenzo ruthlessly hung up the phone. Lu Wenzo pressed his eyebrows. "Go to the film and television city. Wang Hui, second master, are you going to discuss a project?" Lu Wenzo leaned back on the chair and glanced at him coolly. Wang Hui's scalp went numb. "I understand." Half an hour later, the car stopped outside the set of King Yu Sing. It was another night scene. The weather was getting warmer. Zhou Tao was sitting on a stool, the makeup artist was touching up her makeup, and Junling beside her was holding 2 lunch boxes, which seemed to be ordering takeout. Junling raised the lunch box in front of Zhou Tao's eyes. "Braised pork rice, do you want to eat it?" Xiaoai said from the side, "How can a female celebrity eat braised pork rice at night without getting fat to death?" Junling smiled and said, "Then eat less. You will get at least 12 o'clock for the night show tonight." You can't go hungry. The makeup artist put makeup on Joutao, and she took the lunch box from Junling. I'll eat less. She can exercise a lot and doesn't go on a crazy diet like other female celebrities. Joutao and Junling sat on the pony and ate braised pork rice together. Joutao pushed aside all the fat. Junling smiled and said, "This fat guy is not greasy." Joutao pushed her hair back and moved it to one side. "I don't like eating fat." Junling took a pair of clean chopsticks, "Then give it to me, I like eating fat food." Before Joutao could stop him, Junling put the fat from her lunchbox into his bowl bit by bit. Lu Wenzhou, who was sitting in the car not far away, tightened his jaw muscles. Xiaoai smiled and said, "I've prepared chewing gum and breath freshener for you. I'll be filming a movie in bed soon." To say it's a bed scene, it's just a scene of them hugging each other and kissing. Junling couldn't help but look at Joutao, hoping to see a shy expression on her face. After all, this is Joutao's first film and her first sex scene with an actor. She will definitely be shy. However, no, Joutao just ate slowly without even blushing. I don't know why, Junling feels a little disappointed. After finishing the lunch, Xiaoai handed over the water glass. Joutao turned his back and gargled gracefully. He took Xiaoai's chewing gum, chewed it for a while, and then sprayed some breath freshener. Lu Wenzhou felt something was wrong and asked Wang Hui, "Does she need to do so much preparation work? What scenes will she film next?" Wang Hui called the assistant director, who soon ran over. No one in Mr. Lu's circle would bow and bow when he saw it. "Second Master Lu, why are you here?" Lu Wenzhou said coldly, "What scenes will Joutao and Junling film next?" The assistant director didn't know what the relationship between Mr. Lu and Joutao was, so he said truthfully, "There will be a short scene on the bed to be filmed later." Wang Hui saw his second master's expression cracked in the rearview mirror. Seeing that the big man was still silent, the assistant director said cautiously, "The filming is about to start over there. Mr. Lu, do you want to come in and watch?" Wang Hui: "I sincerely invite the second master to watch his ex-wife's sex scene." "Wow, you are so brave, director." What surprised Wang Hui was that his second master actually got out of the car. The filming set was in a built room, which was the sleeping palace of the Prince of Heaven. It had a high dome, a wide bed, and a gold curtain. The heroine drank some wine and hung on the prince's neck in a drunken state. "Did you abuse Louis R today?" "Abused? Thank you, Dad. Dad is so kind. I will give you the monthly ticket, Crazy Express." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 856. The little palace maid in the main hall realized the current affairs and stepped back. Lu Wenzhou stood at the end of the staff, with the headlight shining around the bed. Joutao did not notice that her ex-husband was also hidden in the crowd. When she reached the bed, she broke away from the prince, staggered, and was grabbed by the wrist. She and the prince fell into the curtain. As soon as the prince raised his hand, the lights in the palace dimmed. The lighting engineer extinguished the two large lamps, and the weak light focused on the bed. The heroine lay on the prince's body. Junling's eyelids trembled slightly, and he reached out and gently touched her face. There was silence in the hall, and all the staff waited with bated breath, not wanting to disturb the ambiguous situation created. Lu Wenzhou felt that although this place was empty, it was very stuffy. It was probably going to rain, which made people breathe a little short. Her long hair was spread over her snow-white gauze skirt. Joutao had drunk a little wine before the filming started. Her blurry eyes were partly acting, and the other half she was really tipsy. She touched Junling's chest with her fingers. "You followed me all the way. Do you have any evil intentions? Junling held her hand. What if it is? What should a fairy do? Tell my master to capture you and make alchemy. I see that your cultivation level is very powerful. If I eat it, your cultivation level will definitely increase greatly. Junling put his hand on her waist. If you ask me, I will do it willingly. If you really want to use me to make medicine, I will jump into the medicine furnace myself. Zhou Tao smiled, so obedient. Junling's eyes were sincere, yet the camera was taking a close-up of him. Lu Wenzhou could clearly see the way this man looked at Zhou Tao with deep affection. A staff member on the side whispered, Junling's acting is really good. It looked like he was really moved. Probably not. Junling is well known in the circle for being among thousands of flowers without even touching a single leaf. Zhou Tao is beautiful. There are so many beautiful people in this circle. Lu Wenzhou left the set. It started to rain outside. He lit a cigarette under the eaves, and a small group of actors came up to ask for a cigarette. He was annoyed and threw a cigarette over. The group members laughed and said, should you? Are you here to pursue Zhou Tao too? The word also is very spiritual. What do you mean? People often come to the set to chase her. Extra, that's not true. Yesterday, a man driving a Lamborghini came. I heard he was the young master of the Cheng family. He came with a large bouquet of flowers. Lu Wenzhou's eyes trembled, his expression ugly. How did Zhou Tao react? There was no reaction. I didn't ask for any flowers. I didn't see the young master of the Cheng family. The young master stood there for most of the day. The beauty is indeed a beauty. She is just different from ordinary beauties. Lu Wenzhou lit the cigarette ashes and said, yeah. I think you are much better looking than the young master of the Cheng family. I feel that Zhou Tao is not the kind of person who is greedy for money. I am optimistic about you. On the set, the director made a click sound, and Zhou Tao turned over and got up from the bed. The director said happily, you two performed very well, you did it in one go. Junling's arms were empty, and his eyes followed Zhou Tao. The assistant director on the side smiled and said, Junling, why is your face so red? Junling stood up and brushed it with his wide sleeves. Is it going to rain? It's very boring here. You must be shy, right? The assistant director joked. Go, 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 you say that, this beauty should be shy. When he raised his eyes, Zhou Tao was gone. Not shy. Zhou Tao walked out, and Xiao Ai handed her a thermos cup. This scene was well shot. It has a CP feel. In this kind of fairy tale drama, it is very important for the male and female protagonists to have a CP feel. I can predict, the drama will definitely be a hit. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 857. The handsome man and the beautiful woman also have a sense of CP. If she is not popular, her name is written backwards. Zhou Tao took 2 sips of green tea and said, there are 2 more scenes tonight, right? Xiao Ai looked at the notice sheet and said, well, there are 2 shows. One of them is not very easy to shoot. I have to challenge Wia. Zhou Tao closed the lid of the thermos cup. Yes, I understand. The 2 of them stood by the nanny car and chatted for a while, and soon it started to drizzle. Xiao Ai hurriedly got into the car, and Zhou Tao was about to follow when someone suddenly grabbed her wrist. Lu Wenzhou pulled her behind the car. There was no one here, the lights were dim, and drizzle fell on his feverish face. His eyes were dark and his expression was dark. Not too good. It's his usual look, he doesn't have a good look on his face. Mr. Lu has changed his method of torturing his ex-wife. He is so mysterious that he will scare your ex-wife, you know. She was really sharp with her mouth. After the divorce, she no longer had to worry about his face. She could say whatever she wanted. The words coming out of her pretty mouth always made him look livid. You have a good relationship with Tang Lin. Although they have been married for 2 years, he seems to be missing a lot about her life. Zhou Tao's brows twitched slightly. What do you mean? Is Mr. Lu interfering in his ex-wife's social circle now? Or is he saying that your ex-wife can't be friends with your friends? Lu Wenzhou tightened his grip on her wrist. Zhou Tao, speak nicely and don't be sarcastic. Zhou Tao lowered his eyes. Yes, Tang Lin and I have a good relationship, the kind of relationship where we can occasionally go out for dinner and parties. So why didn't you come to me if the sewer at home was clogged? His unreasonable words made Zhou Tao stunned for a moment. It seemed that he thought for a while before he remembered what happened last summer. He smiled and said, Mr. Lu's memory is not very good. He probably forgot. I made several calls. You were quite busy, and you rarely stayed at that house, so you didn't answer me. You can go to the company to find me. Zhou Tao lowered her eyes and couldn't stop laughing. Lu Wenzhou, why are you laughing? Zhou Tao raised her eyes to look at him, and her smile faded. Am I not so ignorant that I would humiliate myself by going to your company? Maybe your front desk lady will stop me and ridicule me in front of everyone. No. It just so happened that your friend Tang Lin came to you, and he wanted to help, so let him help. Lu Wenzhou choked and couldn't speak. It was indeed what he would do, ignore her and leave her alone. He had been doing this for the past 2 years, just waiting for her to take the initiative to file for divorce. He succeeded. But not so happy. Is Mr. Lu so free? Doesn't his girlfriend need to accompany him? Lu Wenzhou frowned slightly. What girlfriend? Didn't we go on a blind date last time? She looked like we were having a great time talking, and she looked like a perfect match. The lady was gentle and could obey Mr. Lu's words. I believe that if you bring her to your grandpa, Grandpa Lu wouldn't object. Lu Wenzhou pressed her hand on the car. I'm not in a relationship with her. Oh, is it because Mr. Lu doesn't like you, or that young lady doesn't like you? I guess Mr. Lu doesn't like you. After all, although your ex-wife doesn't like you in terms of personality, she is at least somewhat pretty. When looking for a girlfriend, you can't lose to me in terms of appearance, otherwise Mr. Lu will lose face if you take her out, right? Zhou Tao. Zhou Tao said coldly, if everything is okay, Mr. Lu, please let me go. I still have 2 scenes to shoot. Anyone can do it, but Junling can't. He did not let go of her hand, but said this in a deep voice, as if he was admonishing her. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 858. What's the meaning? Lu Wenzhou gritted his teeth and said, Junling came to my company to raise funds. He probably knows about my relationship with you and has ill intentions towards you. Zhou Tao lowered his head and smiled. What does Mr. Lu mean now? Huh? Lu Wenzhou was dumbfounded and didn't know how to answer. What did he mean by this? He doesn't even know it himself. I have no control over Junling and Mr. Lu's feud. I only know that he is very kind to me. I will not embarrass others if he treats me well. Lu Wenzhou's eyes were filled with evil thoughts. Okay, Mr. Lu, don't waste my time. I do still have a very important scene to shoot. Xiao Ai's voice came from behind the car. Does he, who was here just now, where did he go? Zhou Tao broke away from Lu Wenzhou's hand and responded, I'm here, go to the set quickly. Xiao Ai held an umbrella over her head. It's raining. Why are you outside in the rain? Your hair is a little wet. You'll have to ask the makeup artist to touch up your makeup later. Yeah, she deserved to be a little perfunctory. It is a scene where the wire is dragged on the ground at the end. It is very difficult and very hard. The director and Zhou Tao said, let the substitute do the dragging part on the ground. Zhou Tao didn't think about it, no need for a substitute, I can do it myself. It should hurt. If your hand rubs on the ground, the skin will definitely break. Zhou Tao smiled, it's okay. The director was a little surprised. This kind of beautiful woman is usually very delicate, but she requires a double for any dangerous scenes, but she is really dedicated. Maybe it's because I'm not famous yet. Lu Wenzhou got on the car with a gloomy look on his face. Wang Hui said cautiously, Second Master, it seems that Miss Zhou has another difficult scene to film. The one where she is dragging a wire on the ground. Don't you want to watch it? Lu Wenzhou pressed his temples, is there anything interesting to see? That woman is so stupid that she can't tell whether others have ulterior motives for being nice to her, so why should he be so sincere? Late at night, on the set, Zhou Tao was filming a scene, and the palms of her hands seemed to be on fire. It was really difficult to be an actress. We dragged her sliding on the ground, and there were clothes on her body to block her, but her hands rubbed against the jagged rocks. Blood oozed out immediately, and he couldn't make a distorted expression. It wasn't until he finished speaking that Zhou Tao frowned and raised his hand to look at his palm, which was bloody and shocking. Okay, Zhou Tao did a great job. That's it for today. Go take care of the wound. Zhou Tao left the set and got into the nanny car. After a while, there was a knock on the door. She thought it was Xiao Ai coming back with medicine, but when she opened the door, it was Junling who had bottles and gauze in her hands. Let me show you the wound. Zhou Tao recalled what Lu Wenzhou said, saying that Junling was treating her well because he had evil intentions, but she always felt it was not the case. She felt that Junling's eyes were quite sincere. Is it convenient to come up? Zhou Tao smiled, it's nothing inconvenient. Junling got in the car. Zhou Tao's injury was mainly on the palm of her right hand. Junling reached out to help her clean the wound. Zhou Tao wanted to take the cotton swab in his hand, I'll do it myself. It's inconvenient for you, he said, and then he helped her clean the pebbles from her palms, rinsed them with water, dried them with paper towels, applied some iodine, and finally wrapped them with gauze and gave her a beautiful injection. Bow tie. Thank you, Zhou Tao smiled at him. You're welcome, you should use a substitute tonight. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 859. Zhou Tao said nonchalantly, that makes the director's work more difficult. They have to choose various angles, and they can't do close-ups. I'm not satisfied with the effect. Then try not to get this hand wet in the past 2 days. Okay. Then there was nothing more to say. Zhou Tao is not the kind of warm-tempered person who has nothing to say. Before Junling and her were together, they had always been very close to each other. Recently, they have not been so close to each other. If the two of them were together, there was this awkward situation where no one spoke. Xiao Ai's voice came from outside, and Zhou Tao smiled, well, it's getting late, I have to go back and rest. Junling stood up quickly, yes, it's getting late. You should go home and rest soon. Xiao Ai came over with a medicine bag, Dr. Chen gave it to me, You've already taken the medicine. Junling served it to you. Zhou Tao looked at the bow, well, he put it on me. Xiao Ai immediately came over and said, so, handsome guy Junda is really interested in you. Zhou Tao looked at her innocently, sister, it's getting late, I want to go back to bed, As soon as the beautiful lady acted coquettishly, her little heart melted, okay, I won't bother you. You have worked hard today. Now I will send you home to rest. Because the film and television city is in Hiken, Zhou Tao lives at home. The nanny car slowly drove away from the film and television city. Huang Xian drove Junling to the hotel. Brother, you have a good relationship with Zhou Tao now. When will you ask her to introduce Mr. Xiao Wen to you, and then you can improve the relationship with Mr. Fu through Mr. Xiao Wen. Junling was a little absent-minded. Well, let's talk about it later. Brother, isn't it? Are you really in love? Junling slapped him on the back of the head. What are you thinking about? How is it possible? Huang Xian touched his head. Say what you say. Why are you hitting people? It looks like you are angry because of shame, you know. Drive your car well. When the car arrived at Jotana's old community, it was already 12:30 in the morning, and it was still raining lightly. She got out of the car and walked towards the building where she lived while holding an umbrella. Downstairs, I saw a familiar black car and a man leaning on the car without an umbrella. Because it was blocked by a big tree, he probably couldn't get wet from the rain. He was wearing a black suit. He was tall and tall. Lu Wenzhou had a very eye-catching skin. He was indeed attracted to the skin when he was a teenager. The better looking the person, the worse the temper. This theorem holds true for Lu Wenzhou at least. He held a cigarette in one hand, and the other hand was hidden by his leg, as if he had grabbed something in his hand. Because his hands were big and the light was not good, it was hard to tell what he was grabbing. Lu Wenzhou's eyes fell from her face to her hands. When he saw the gauze wrapped in her hands, his eyes dimmed. Is your hand injured? Zhou Tao raised her right hand. I was injured. Junling helped me bandage it. This bow is quite cute, Mr. Lu said, right. Lu Wenzhou's eyes were dark. So you are turning a deaf ear to my words? Are you afraid of falling into Junling's hands? Zhou Tao, Lu Wenzhou, what do you mean by this? She was holding a transparent umbrella. There was no expression on her face, and it was impossible to tell what her mood was. It's not fun, you know. I'm an adult, and I have my own ability to identify. You want me to divorce you, and I have fulfilled your wish. There should be no more intersections between us, so you can leave. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 860. She won't lament the inexplicable care he occasionally gives to her. If she gives up, she will give up. After saying that, she walked straight into the corridor without turning around or lingering. Wang Hui got out of the car and opened the door. Second master, get in the car. Lu Wenzhou threw the medicine bottle and gauze he was holding in his right hand on the seat. She will regret it when she is deceived. Wang Hui, yes, yes, Miss Zhou will definitely regret it in the future. That Junling has bad intentions. Lu Wenzhou unbuttoned 2 buttons and still felt depressed. The medicine bottle and gauze placed on the seat beside him seemed ironic that he had waited for her for so long. Is he crazy? After a night of light rain, Wen Qiao had a full sleep. After getting up, Uncle Ji hadn't made breakfast yet, so she practiced the piano in the room for a while. She had to perform in Amsterdam at the end of the month to win glory for the country. There was a knock on the door. Su Yun went to open the door and saw Su Hai Hime coming with a girl she didn't know. It was Du Yun, the daughter of Hime's friend, who graduated from the 985 full-time undergraduate program and is now a lecturer at a normal university. Du Yun originally didn't want to come because she heard that the other party had studied for a bachelor's degree by himself. Frankly speaking, a 30-year-old man who studied for a bachelor's degree by himself was still working in a dilapidated amusement park. She really looked down upon this condition. But he assured her again and again that the other party was very handsome, very handsome. Du Yun is even more disdainful. No matter how handsome he is, if he has no ability to work, isn't he just a pretty boy who eats soft food? But I still want to take a look to see if he is as handsome as he said. Why are you here? This girl is. Mei grabbed Su Yun's hand and said eagerly, Su Ce is already old. As a sister, don't you worry about his marriage. Su Yun really didn't. Not long after her brother recognized him, she still regarded Su Ce as the child when she left, the same as her daughter and son. She never thought that Su Ce had already reached the age of trial marriage. No. No. Mei clicked her tongue and said, you are serious too. After saying that, she pulled Su Yun aside and said earnestly, Su Ce is very handsome, but you also know that these days, it's hard to find a good job if you don't have a good wife. Su Yun said nothing. Her Ce's condition is not bad and he is so smart. What kind of job can he find? But he can't find it? We can't delay it any longer. 30 is already an old man. If we delay it any longer, it will be difficult to find a wife in the future. When Xiao's voice came, those who are left behind by others are called leftover men. If you choose to be single, you shouldn't be called leftover men or leftover women. Auntie, do you think so? Mei's heart trembled. You are the ancestor, everything you say is right, who dares to argue with you? You can't fight with someone who has sharp teeth and a sharp mouth. Yes, yes, your brother-in-law is definitely not a leftover man. But, Xiao, you can't deny that your brother-in-law is not young, right? When Xiao scratched his eyebrows lazily, isn't he too young? Our brother-in-law looks boyish. He works in an amusement park, and 3 to 5-year-old babies call him brother. Mei felt light-hearted, but her face was calm. Yes, your brother-in-law looks young, but we all know that he is quite old, right? Auntie, you worry about him all day long. I couldn't sleep at night, thinking that we, Ce, had been out there for so many years, all alone, with no one knowing how to feel the cold or the heat. Su Ce also came over from the backyard.